Hey everybody, you're watching Go Geronimo, and this is the third video of the series on how to make a red oak longbow. So we're going to be in this video drawing our first lines and making our first cuts, gluing up our handle and gluing up our string knocks. When you pick up these pieces of wood from your Lowe's or your Home Depot or whatever kind of lumberyard you have around you, they're not always going to be straight and you're not always going to know it. So the first thing you need to do is see how straight your bow stave is. You would go ahead and make our handle lines, and how we're going to do that is I'm going to show you up here real quick. We're going to find the middle, okay? So if you have a 72-inch long bow, it's going to be 36 inches in the middle. You're going to find that as best and as most accurate as possible. You're going to draw that line here. Now you're going to go 6 inches from each side, which is going to make a full 12 inches. Alright? And we're going to go an inch past that. And this inch past is going to be where we're going to start our taper. Okay? But in this middle portion is our handle. Now we're going to find the middle of that. Since your bow stave is most likely going to be 1.5 inches wide, it's going to be 3/4 inches into the middle. Now, only in this 12-inch handle, we're going to find the middle. Alright? Then we're going to take our ruler and we're going to connect these 3 dots and make our line. We're going to make those lines all the way across the whole bow stave, only from those 3 middle marks that we made in the handle. That's going to ensure we make a straight line through that whole bow stave. Alright, so if we didn't have a straight bow stave and it looked something like this, alright? If we did this thing that I was telling you to do, find middle, 6 inches out, 6 inches out, find middle again, and we did this line, okay, we at least have a center on your bow stave coming from the handle. And now, when we taper from there, okay, when we taper from that middle line we made from only the 12-inch handle, we now have a workable bow stave, even though the wood was not perfect. Hopefully you can see that. So that's where we start, right there. Even if your wood you think is perfectly straight, we start right there. Now I'll demonstrate the measurements that we're actually going to do on this with a straight one, just because it's easier. It's easier to draw and show you what we're doing. Now, with the one that's already straight, just to make it easier, we find middle, just like that. Then we find our 12-inch line, right there, right there. Okay, so that's our handle. Now we're going to go an inch past each side. Now this part is this inch we're not going to taper on the sides, okay? We're going to get an inch on each side that we're not going to taper. And then when we're talking about the end is going to be a 1/2 inch taper. It's going to come all the way down to a 1/2 inch. So we're going to go we're going to find the middle of the end, and we're going to go 1/4 inch off of the middle of each side, okay? Then we're going to go ahead and draw that taper line. On both sides. At this time I make my first cut. So I'm just going to cut off the wood here. Now, for the sake of everyone being able to make this bow, not everyone has a bandsaw. Sometimes the jigsaw is not a good idea to do this unless you're really good at it. So the next thing is the Sureform and the 4-way rasp. My first bow, this is how I made it, okay? You can use a Sureform and a 4-way rasp and just work it until it comes all the way down to the line. It's a long process, but it can be done. The way that I did it is I would use the roughest part of my 4-way rasp, and I would make abrasions in it and make it really nice and rough, okay? Then I would go over it with my Sureform, because the Sureform picks up better when it's a rough surface. If it was a smooth surface and you try to push this over, you'll get there, but it's going to take a long time. So I would rough it up first and come over it with the Sureform. I'm about to cut out the taper on this bow stave, the first taper. And I just wanted to say real quick, if you're going to be using some type of a saw, whether it be a bandsaw or a jigsaw, you want to cut outside the line and then work your way back into the Sureform. Of course, if you're using the Sureform method already, you don't have to worry about that. But cut outside the line, work your way back in. That makes sure you don't cut too far into what's going to actually be your bow and making some type of a weak point. So let's get cutting. Alright, so I cut off the tapers, and now we need to work the rest of the way into the line. And you can use your Sureform 4-way rasp, or you can use a bench sander or any other type of sander to do this portion. I have a bench sander with a disc, and I'm gonna use that. But optionally, you can go ahead and vise your stave down and take your Sureform and just work it just like that. Alright, so this next line we're going to draw on this bow stave is, we're going to look at the bow sideways, and this is that drawing, okay? So imagine this is our middle mark, this is our 12-inch handle, and these are our 1-inch spaces past the handle where we tapered the other side. Okay, now we're going to do the taper on the belly. The belly of the bows is going to be from that 1 inch past the handle mark to 3/8 inches. there it is, 3/8 inches to the tip. Alright, so we'll take the side of the bow and draw this line. Alright, so for this cut, I wouldn't use a jigsaw. I would either use a bandsaw or I'd use some type of a sander, table sander, or the Sureform. Jigsaw is just going to mess this up. I'm actually going to cut mine out with the bandsaw, and then I'm going to take it back out to the table sander and finish it that way. Alright, so now we should have all of our tapers cut out, the belly and the sides. Let me explain to you really quick what the belly is. The belly is this taper right here. So we tapered the sides and we tapered the belly. The flat part right here is what's called the back of the bow. That was not tapered at all. The handle is actually going to go on the belly side of this bow. Okay? And after you've cut out these initial pieces, make sure you went over it with some sandpaper or a Sureform. Make nice and straight cuts. We'll glue on the handle, the 12-inch handle, and 1.5 inch long by 1/4 inch thick pieces for the tips. And then we'll glue those together using some vices or some C-clamps. When I'm doing my glue up, I like to have 3 of my 3-inch clamps and 2 1.5 inch or 2-inch clamps. This is a 1.5 and this is a 2-inch clamp. The 2 smaller ones are going on the ends. I like to make a line in the middle on the sides so that I know where they match up when I'm gluing on my handle. Okay? Alright, so now we can go ahead and glue it. We're going to put glue on both sides just like always. Whenever you're using wood glue, might as well glue both sides to get really nice. Alright. Okay. Slap those together. Give it a good press in there. And the fun begins because whenever you're trying to put these 3 clamps on, man, it moves and shifts around like crazy. Make sure you put something plastic under here or you're going to have a super retarded mess. And I have not found a really good way to do this yet. We just tighten, adjust, tighten, adjust. Alright, so you tighten these clamps on, make sure the glue starts oozing out the side, that way you know you put enough. We can go ahead and wipe this off with a rag, and we'll let this sit until it dries, 24 hours pretty much. And we'll do the tips as well. That way they can all glue at the same time. Moving on to the tips, I'm going to show you one and you can just do the same thing on the other side, okay? Now, the tips are not going on the belly of the bow, they're going on the back of the bow. Simple as that. These can be scrap pieces of wood. They just need to lay over both sides, and then we can take that away with a sander or a saw, Sureform, whatever, doesn't matter. Okay, so this has been the 3rd video of the series on how to make a red oak longbow. Please click like, subscribe, share my videos, look for more. We're definitely not done yet. Find me on gogeronimo.com. If you have any questions to this, leave a comment, please. I would love to help you out. And that's about it. Thanks.